A pretty exciting paper has been recently published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, which details the sequencing and analysis of the entire great white shark genome, and compares it to whale sharks and elephant sharks and several other vertebrates. This in-depth analysis has uncovered some of the great white shark's genetic secrets, like how they can live for so long, or how they can heal their wounds so quickly. The great white shark is a mysterious and terrifying megafauna predator. As a megafauna, the great white shark is large. Its body is a huge chemical superstructure, filled with a proportionately huge amount of cells. And that's where there can be kind of a problem. Because when you have more cells, because of sheer numbers and probability, you're more likely for at least one of those cells to mutate and become cancerous. The more cells you have, the more likely you are to develop cancer at some point in your life. This is true for humans of various heights, and it's true for a handful of other large animals. Except, many large animals, like elephants and the great white shark, and the whale shark tangentially, have abnormally low rates of cancer, considering their vast size and the immense number of cells that compose their bodies. A lot of these large animals have this abnormally low rate of cancer, and in many of these species we're not quite sure why. But in the great white shark, this is explained by some of the findings of the research. The great white sharks have a large number of genes involved in DNA repair. Genes that were activated in response to damage were also present in large numbers, as were genes that contributed to mutation resistance. To quote a co-author of the study, quote, "Not only were there a surprisingly high number of genome stability genes that contained these adaptive changes, but there was also an enrichment of several of these genes, highlighting the importance of this genetic fine-tuning in the white shark," unquote. That co-author is Mahmoud Shivji, PhD and director of the Shark Research Center at the Save Our Seas Foundation. Other co-authors of the study include Dr. Michael Stanhope, who works at the Cornell University College of Veterinary Medicine, Dr. Salvador Jorgensen, who's a senior research scientist at the Monterey Bay Aquarium, and Stephen O'Brien, who's a conservation geneticist at Nova Southeastern University. So the white sharks have evolved a genome that's packed with damage control genes, and this raises the question, why? Well, it turns out that the answer is also hidden in the genome. The white sharks also have a large number of transposon genes in their genome. These transposons compose nearly 30% of the shark's genome, and these can be a problem as well, because the transposons are able to transplant themselves throughout the genome, and this can disrupt or disable other genes. For some reason, the sharks seem to be suffering from a proliferation of these transposon genes, and this would have incurred a strong selective pressure for damage control genes, like genes that can prevent or effectively repair the damage caused by transposons. It seems to work, as the sharks can live for centuries without developing terminal cancers. Another fascinating finding in the genome had to do with the shark's rapid healing ability. When a great white shark is wounded, like if it's been bitten by another shark, or scraped or lacerated by something, or maybe its fin got maimed, in all of these cases, the wounds clot, close, and heal up rapidly, much faster than similar wounds would heal in a human. The researchers found that genes related to wound healing pathways were enriched with many copies of the necessary genes. This allows for the healing processes to be carried out with furious rapidity. Yet another interesting finding has to do with the shark's sense of smell. Great white sharks are apex predators, and their sense of smell is very strong and very refined. They can smell the blood of an injured prey animal from miles away, and they can follow that scent straight to their next meal. However, what the researchers found was unintuitive. They found something surprising that will certainly be a topic for future research. The authors said, quote, "We did, however, identify 13 copies of vomeronasal type 2 genes, V2R, in white shark and 10 in whale shark. This, combined with over 30 V2Rs reported previously for elephant shark, suggests this gene family may underlie the keen odorant reception of chondrichthyans, unquote. Basically, they're pointing out that great whites have fewer odor receptors in their nose organs than other sharks, like the elephant shark. If the sharks are just using these genes to smell and they have a really good sense of smell, then these genes must be really effective. Everything else must be peripheral or not as good. And so the sharks, under this extremely strong selective pressure to have a very good, very keen sense of smell, they've preserved this small handful of the elite genes, the best of the best, that give them that very sharp sense of smell. We don't know why this is, or how this can be when the great white shark is known to have a very good sense of smell. But what it does seem to suggest, and what the authors point out, is that this handful of V2R genes that the sharks have must be really important for the sense of smell. They must be fundamental for developing a very powerful olfactory system. But how exactly this works is yet another mystery that needs to be investigated. With respect to the damage control genes that I talked about first, there's a lot of medical potential here. Dr. Shivji said, quote, "Genome instability is a very important issue in many serious human diseases. Now we find that nature has developed clever strategies to maintain the stability of genomes in these large-bodied, long-lived sharks. There's still tons to be learned from these evolutionary marvels, including information that will potentially be useful to fight cancer and age-related diseases, and improve wound healing treatments in humans, as we uncover how these animals do it."